All right, welcome in. It is the Breer Report for July the 24th. We got a mailbag edition coming to you here from the road. As you can see behind me, we are in Green Bay, Wisconsin. This is my third camp stop. Was with the Lions and the Vikings the last couple of days, with the Packers today. As always, we got more answers to more of your questions on the website, more detail there. I'm in our written mailbag at the mmqb.com. But as always, we want to get to your questions here on video as well. And so we'll get to three of them right here, right now. My first question is coming from Smirking Dad. That's at JW Lance. Was the Broncos' lack of a run game last year caused by poor line play or poor running back play? Their O-line is highly rated, yet the Broncos couldn't run the ball. I think based on a couple of things, you can feel good about where the Broncos' offensive line is. The first is that Bo Nix played really well as a rookie, and that generally doesn't happen with a rookie quarterback without really good line play. In fact, I think if you look back over the years, you can see really strong tackles with the young quarterbacks who succeeded at a young age. Josh Allen had Deion Dawkins. You go back, you look at Lamar Jackson. He had Orlando Brown and Ronnie Stanley. Patrick Mahomes early in his career had Eric Fisher and Mitch Schwartz. So strong line play always correlates to good young quarterback play. They got great play from Bo Nix last year. A big part of it was an offensive line group that really came together under Sean Payton in Sean Payton's second year. The second piece of it is the action of the team, and what the team did over the course of the offseason. They ostensibly, by the looks of their actions, were happy with what happened on the offensive line last year. Garrett Bowles, they got more out of him than they thought they would. Quinn Miners has continued to grow as a young guard. Ben Powers, Mike McGlinchey were good additions. So that group is running it back. And the fact that Sean Payton feels comfortable running back with that group tells you that they're happy with that group. So then you go to the running backs. And what was one of the big things going into the draft? A lot of people, myself included, felt they would take one in the first round. They wind up taking one in the second round in R.J. Harvey out of UCF. They felt like they wanted to really flip that position upside down. They didn't get as much from Audric Estime as a rookie as they had hoped, but they still really like him. So I think getting more out of the running back position is really the focus right now. I do think that they will be better in the run game in 2025. It's been a big focus of Sean Payton's as being a physical football team. A lot of that runs through the run game. And with Harvey and Estime now in year two, the hope is they'll get more out of the running back position, which will help them get more out of the run game in general. Question number 2, this is coming from Richmond_1717. That's at Richmond1717. With Mike Williams retiring, do you see the Chargers signing a veteran receiver to take his place? The ideas here, Keenan Allen, Amari Cooper, Gabe Davis. Right now, I think they're okay with where they are. Ladd McConkey obviously was great as a rookie. Quentin Johnston, I think we know what he is a few years in now. And then they bring in Trey Harris, who I think was sort of an underrated second-round pick, a guy who could be more as a pro than he was as a college player. So I think for right now, they're going to see what they have. They're going to see what this looks like with that group of guys, with Ladd McConkey as a really top-end slot going into year two, with Harris as a good young prospect, and with Johnston going into his, I believe, third year in the NFL. Really what you want to look for here is kind of how those guys fit into the overall culture of the team and what Jim Harbaugh has tried to build. But Jim Harbaugh has never been overly reliant on that position. If you look back at his history through the years, go back to Stanford, go back to the Niners, go back to Michigan, you don't see a lot of star receivers. You see star tight ends, you see star running backs, you see dominant offensive lines, but there's never been this overinvestment in the receiver position. In San Francisco, the best receiver he had over the years there was probably Michael Crabtree. Through the years at Michigan, even when they had really talented receivers like Nico Collins, those guys weren't featured guys in the offense. And so I'm not saying that he doesn't think the receiver position is important, but I think for right now, they look at what they've got in the young guys, and then 2, 3, 4 weeks down the line, if it doesn't look right, then maybe they do something. But I think they really want to look again at those young guys, at a Quentin Johnston, at a Trey Harris, and of course, lean a little bit more on Ladd McConkey going into his second year. Finally, question number 3. This is from Dick Kisslocker. That's at Dick Kisslocker. I think that's a Dick Buck Kiss, Mike Dick, Brian Urlacher combination. So this is a Bears fan. Why is Za'Darius Smith still a free agent? Is it lack of interest from other teams, or is it on him? Is he asking for too much? Is he being selective? We've seen this with pass rushers over the years. And this is sort of the Jadeveon Clowney model of pass rusher free agency. When they get older, generally those guys can find 1 year $10 million deals, 1 year $15 million deals. Yannick Ngakoue has been this guy over the last few years where you don't need to sign somewhere in the spring. And generally, somebody is going to need pass rushers. You can never have enough of them when you get deeper into camp. And that gives those guys some more leverage to go out and find work. And they save their legs and not having to go through an off-season program and then maybe missing part of training camp. I'm not saying those guys are looking to miss training camp, but sometimes it can be a little bit of a side benefit when an older guy doesn't have to go through a full training camp. So I think with Za'Darius Smith, the idea here is coming off of the way he finished last year after being traded from the Browns to the Lions. Is there a place that's a really good fit that needs a pass rusher where maybe the young guys that they had on board didn't come along quite as they would have expected? The Bears are one. And look, like I can't tell you whether or not they're falling over themselves to look at him, but at least Ben Johnson has some background with him, having worked with him in Detroit. And if you look at the makeup of their defensive front, they do have Montez Sweat as sort of their war daddy pass rusher to build around. They brought in Dayo Odeyingbo from Indianapolis, but the vision for him is more of an outside guy on early downs that reduces inside on passing downs. So that would be one place that would be a fit. But I think you would be looking at places that are looking at young pass rushers right now, and maybe you get to the end of camp and they take a second look and say, we need to add somebody. That's where a guy like Za'Darius Smith can go and find a one-year deal, maybe into 8 figures. Appreciate you guys coming out. Be sure to check out the online mailbag. Again, that's at the mmqb.com. And we will have another Breer Report coming for you from the road on Friday morning. You can check that one out.